Welcome back to the Plus Side of Nashville, everybody. Poverty and the Arts, an organization that is giving the homeless of our community a hand up versus a handout. And many are rising to the occasion. Here to explain is the program's founder and the executive director, Nicole Brandt.
Hi.
Welcome. Hi. I loved reading about this organization and how you have a strong connection to the homeless prior to starting this foundation. Talk a little bit about your background, Nicole, and how you came up with the idea.
Definitely. So I grew up in a really small town in Kentucky. So my experience with the homeless was either going to a soup kitchen and serving them or seeing them on a street corner when I went to a big city. And my senior year of high school, I got connected with a guy who would go to homeless tents and campsites in Louisville, Kentucky. And I started to go with him, and he would sometimes bring them food or socks or coffee, but ultimately he just spent the day with them. And growing up, a lot of the narratives told to me about homelessness were just that they were simply lazy or drug addicts and that they didn't deserve anything else. And one thing that I really realized by spending time with them was how resourceful and creative they were, but the many limitations, whether it was trauma, mental illness, physical, criminal history, things like that, that led to barriers. And so I moved to Nashville in 2010 to go to Belmont University, and I got an on-campus job, which was a work-study job in the Center of Service Learning. And I was supposed to plan 3 community service projects a semester for Belmont students. So I knew I wanted to figure out a way to recreate that space in which I had experienced getting to know homeless people. But I didn't think I could take a bunch of college students to homeless camps or tents, nor did I know where they were at the time because I just moved here. So I started to play with this idea of art could be this way in which we all meet together and we're equals. And instead of serving them a meal and this me versus you experience, we were writing a poem together or playing music. And so I was really skeptical of homeless organizations at first here when I moved to Nashville, but I started to go to Church Street Park across from the Nashville Public Library and just started talking to homeless people. And I really found out that they loved Room in the Inn here in Nashville, which is a great homeless organization.
Absolutely, yes. And
so I looked into that and found out they had an art studio and they had instruments. And so we planned our first Poverty in the Arts event in November 2011 through this job. And we had volunteers from Belmont that were in visual art, creative writing, and music. And we basically just invited them to come in and to create art with our homeless participants. And we got such great feedback both from the students but also from the homeless participants who, while they have an art studio, it's usually just one art teacher coming in and teaching a room full of homeless people art. And we had kind of provided an opportunity to where college students were coming in and wanting to know how their day was and what their dreams and goals were. And so we ended up hosting those every semester that I was in college. And we ended up adding improv theater, which ended up being incredible. And as we did this, I kept noticing how talented so many of them were. And especially in visual art, I would get questions like, how do I get my art in a coffee shop? Or people see me drawing on the street every day, how do I sell it to them without a cop coming up and stopping me? Because you have to have a street vendor's license. And so we formed what's now our Artist Collective program, with just the goal of providing the resources and space for the artists who already had the talent to kind of grow and market and sell their artwork.
Wow. For such a young person to have that need to want to help a particular group of people, which you had a stereotype about. I think so many people have a stereotype. Talk a little bit about the types of creative arts that these folks are turning out and that they're able to sell.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, you're going to have your painting and acrylic to watercolor to oil. We also have some artists who do copper etchings. So they take copper and a hammer and a nail and create scenes from lake scenes to things like that. We have an artist inside, so we have people that temper or work with jewelry, or we had 2 sewing machines donated, so they sew some stuff. We had a fabric marbling workshop. So they're really trying to learn the full gamut, and they kind of have the opportunity to, whatever they want to create, they can have at it.
Wow.
So,
well, we're going to tell folks we're going to take a break, but I would love to be able to share with everybody how they can see this work, because there really is some good things on your website. But we're going to take a break, and we'll be back with more right after this.